Good morning. It's nice to see you again. We have reviewed Paul's medical and family history, and now we have a better understanding of his symptoms and characteristics. We believe that he may have a genetic condition, which is why we recommend genetic testing. It's a different test from those that Paul has already had, and it's a way of looking for the cause of his symptoms and characteristics.
So, what is a genetic test?
This is usually a blood test or a cheek swab that is sent to a laboratory to detect differences in genes that are called genetic variants. This can help us to identify what genetic condition Paul might have.
We all have these genetic variants, and that's what makes us unique. For example, some of us have green eyes and some brown eyes. Most variants don't cause significant changes in the health of our body.
However, there are other variants that are significant and do cause genetic conditions that affect the health of our body.
I get it. It's as if the tamale recipe that Tim told us about was missing a main ingredient, like the flour.
Yes, therefore the recipe changed and results in a dish that is different, but is also very tasty. Genetic testing is like looking at the gene recipe to see if it's different.
But Paul is already being treated. Why does he need genetic testing?
Very good question. There are 3 main reasons. This test may help us with the management or medical treatment of some genetic conditions, but not all of them. Also, to confirm a diagnosis, and finally, to find out what the chances are for you or other members of your family to have a child with the same genetic condition.
There are many types of genetic tests, but I'll tell you about the 3 most common ones. The first test is called single gene sequencing. We order this type of test when we suspect that a child's symptoms and characteristics are caused by a specific gene. The second test is called a genetic panel. When we think the cause of the specific symptom may be one of many different genetic conditions, we order this type of multi-gene sequencing test. This helps to identify changes in multiple genes. These genes may even be on different chromosomes. Sometimes we think that a child's symptoms and characteristics are due to a genetic condition, but we don't know which one it is because there are thousands of genetic conditions. In this case, we would do a test called whole exome sequencing. This test analyzes all genes on all chromosomes to see if the laboratory can find a variant that explains the child's symptoms or characteristics. Sometimes we have to do an additional genetic test because we did not identify the cause in the first test. The biological parents may also be tested to clarify the results and to determine the likelihood of having another child with the same genetic condition. If we identify the change in the parents, we can identify other family members who may have the same variant as your child. So, would you like a genetic test for Paul?
Yes.
Very well. Then I'll say goodbye, and Tim will get your permission to begin the testing process.
I'll review the consent form with you. This is a document that shows in detail the benefits and possible outcomes, as well as the risks and limitations of genetic testing.
What are the possible test results?
There are 3 possible results for genetic testing. If the result is positive, it means that the laboratory has identified a variant in a gene that is associated with your child's symptoms. If the result is negative, it means that no variants have been found in any gene or that the changes found are not associated with any genetic condition. This doesn't mean that there is no genetic reason for your child's symptoms. It means that the test has not been able to identify a cause, but it may reduce the likelihood of it being due to a genetic condition. The third possible result may appear as a variant of uncertain meaning.
What would this mean for Paul?
It would mean that we don't have enough information at this time to diagnose Paul with a genetic condition. Sometimes a genetic cause is never identified, but nevertheless, we would still strive to find an answer for Paul.
And how much will these tests cost?
The cost varies. Sometimes Medicaid or your health insurance will cover the tests, and if not, there may be other options to cover the costs. Our clinic will work with you and the insurance company. The test may be done during this appointment if you wish, or you can wait until we get the insurance approval.
Okay, thanks.
When will we get the results back?
Once the laboratory receives the sample, results usually take 2 to 8 weeks.
How will you inform us about the results?
I'll contact you to explain the results and to discuss next steps.
This is a lot of information.
I understand. We will be with you every step of the way to explain and answer all your questions. We're here if you need us.